Ahsoka Season 1 is leading into a potential renaissance for Star Wars through Dave Filoni's creative vision. There is one new character who, through subtlety, novel action, and a massive reveal in the finale, could tie it all together. The most interesting character of Ahsoka is, in my opinion, Ray Stevenson's Baylan Skoll. However, with Ray Stevenson's tragic and untimely passing, Disney has a crucial decision to make about his character, and there is only one thing left to do. Star Wars needs to make the most respectful choice and recast Baylan Skoll. Before we start, we have to also express our admiration for actor Ray Stevenson, who brought the Dark Jedi Baylan Skoll to life. There's no doubt to me that his performance is what made Baylan Skoll a magnetic and captivating character. All in all, post-finale, he was the character who deserved more screen time the most, and had the most potential moving forward. After a season of not doing what was expected of a Dark Jedi fallen to the side of the Empire, we find out that Balin went to this new galaxy not to help Morgan Elsbeth, or the Night Sisters, or Grand Admiral Thrawn. He was there hunting for knowledge, and that hunt led him to, at the very least, a massive valley of Mortis Gods statues, central figures in Dave Filoni's Star Wars projects. This will wind up being a big deal in Star Wars moving forward, but that is a topic deserving of its very own video. Now we must contend with a terrible real-world reality. Actor Ray Stevenson passed away after production wrapped and before the Ahsoka premiere. His death is an absolute gut-wrench. By all accounts, this was an unexpected loss of a talented, venerable actor with a legacy of strong performances in such projects as King Arthur, Punisher Warzone, Rome, Dexter, Vikings, and Marvel's Thor films. However, Baylan Skoll could have been Ray Stevenson's biggest role, and he clearly poured a lot into the performance. I know what the title of this video is, and I want to be absolutely clear. The best option would have been Ray Stevenson continuing the role of Balin for ideally years to come, but we no longer have that option, and it's not fair, and it's not what anyone would ever want. We're at a decision point the Walt Disney Company has been forced to approach before in regards to what to do and how to move forward. Recast the character, recreate the character digitally, or kill the character off. With the history of how that's gone, and from what I've seen in the Ahsoka series in mind, I am imploring, with admiration and respect, Baylan Skoll must be recast. For the integrity of the show, for everything Ray Stevenson already built for the character, it's the last best option. Baylan Skoll rides a very interesting line, working on the side of the Empire but not on board with their ideals, a trained Jedi who doesn't want other Jedi to die off, but doesn't respect the ways of the Order either. In a way, the character is very sensible, someone who lives in the gray area of a franchise that is extremely black and white. At the very least, he's a novel character, but of course there's more. Balin is the character who is now single-handedly ushering in the very Filoniverse concept of the Mortis Gods. Not well known outside animation, the Mortis Gods, the sister, the brother, and the father, represent the fundamentals of the Force, the light, the dark, and the balance of both, predating the Jedi Order. There are some very interesting theories surrounding this thread, like Ahsoka representing the sister and the light, who represents the father as both extremes of dark and light. It's obviously Anakin, just my opinion though. Where they could go with that, where the characters could ultimately end up with the meta context that they don't get mentioned in the sequel trilogy, what the Force even is without the definitions of Jedi and Sith. The possibilities are both numerous and exciting, and Baylan Skoll is the entry point. This exploration could be key to renewing interest in Star Wars as a concept, as the studio tries to forge a way forward, branching away from the Skywalker saga and cracking into other stories in this rich world. The other thing this does is help to add to Star Wars canon lore by building on the idea that this galaxy is ancient, and the Force is even more ancient. And we haven't really even begun to understand the Force-wielding cultures that existed before the Jedi, the Sith, or the Night Sisters. All of this just continues to build out the ancient, distant past. Everything that Baylan Skoll seems to be following is relics and knowledge, very literally from long, long ago in a galaxy far, far away. So on the topic of killing off Balin, the figurative keyholder to this burgeoning Star Wars concept, I can't see that as a good idea. Not only would the story be less believable if, say, Balin dies for whatever reason and Shin leaves what she's doing and picks up for him, this idea would be a disservice for the work Ray Stevenson already did because it drops whatever secret knowledge the character had, it drops his rationale for acting, how he acted, all his subtlety and confidence and bigger workings, and just says, forget it, focus on this new other thing now. Further examining the thread he was unraveling is more truthful to the character and the greater story than picking up a new line elsewhere. I'm not sure exactly how we got the idea that recasting a character is an absolute no-go. Perhaps people blamed the disappointment of Solo on the casting of Alden Ehrenreich as a younger Han, which I don't agree with. I think the problem was the script. Perhaps people saw not recasting as the only kind and honorable choice after the heartbreaking death of beloved actors like Carrie Fisher. Sentiments I think do make sense in the short term, but perhaps don't serve the work they were actually doing. Is it truthfully kind and honorable, though, to create a computer-generated facsimile and present it as the original actor? We've seen digital mush before in recreations of Grand Moff Tarkin and a younger Leia for Rogue One. The verdict on how these look is mixed, let's say, even for newer certifiably AI creations like younger Luke Skywalker in the Book of Boba Fett. It's nice to see our old friends as we remember them, but is it really how we remember them? The copies are close, but ultimately there is some uncanniness, though the less than perfect visuals are only the beginning of the problem of digital remix. Can AI truly replicate what a person does or could do? Or is it more like an unsurprising, flat, sometimes jarring mimic of the humanity an actor brings to a role in 100 perceptible and almost imperceptible ways? Digital recreations can only go so far and cannot recreate the totality of a performance that only a human actor can provide. On another note, is that even what the actor would have wanted? Hey, if I pass away, give my role to a computer that can copy what I've done in the past on some level. It sounds like an implausible request. It seems unlikely that someone whose craft was breathing life into a work of art, making us believe they are real and inspiring empathy, would desire a digital aping copy, a fourth wall breaking reminder that this is just a performance and, oh yeah, the human you loved who made it feel real is actually old now, if not dead, and you're looking at a lesser, fully programmed ghost. AI replacing actors really sounds like exactly what SAG-AFTRA is striking against at the time of this recording. I am a mere fan of Carrie Fisher's, and I never knew her, but I find it hard to believe Carrie, the longtime union member who presented the SAG Life Achievement Award to her mother, Debbie Reynolds, in 2015, the actor, writer, gung-ho rabble-rouser that she was, would have taken the side of AI doing the work instead of actors. But back to our subject, Baylan Skoll, he seems primed to become a much bigger character with his key involvement in the Mortis Gods plotline. Killing the character off or writing him out would certainly hurt the potential of the story that seems to be moving forward, and let's not tiptoe around it. Star Wars can't really afford for the Filnoi-verse to end in a flop. Replacing Balin with an AI replica seems not only visually unpleasant, but could undermine the work Ray Stevenson's already done. Of course, whomever steps into the role would have huge shoes to fill, much like Michael Gambon did when he took over the role of Dumbledore from Richard Harris in the Harry Potter movies. And sure, the new actor might get criticized for not being as good as Stevenson, but Ray's performance would always stand as its own, and so would the second performer's interpretation, and we'd all be able to understand and critique and compare the performances in the greater story and in the context beyond. It would all be deeply human, much like an acting performance is meant to be. Thanks for watching. I'm Kim Horcher, and for more Ahsoka, here's our review of the finale, so make sure to check that out, and don't forget to follow and subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.